On Saturday, November 2nd, starting at noon, Kevin Williams is helping sick kids by playing video games. He needs your help to raise $1,000 for the CHIO Foundation. Donate at extra-life.org/participants/347875. The following podcast may contain immature content created by Danny Parkhill and Michael Walsh. Listener discretion is strongly advised.
And my wife is like, who in the is this guy? She's like, he doesn't look like a wrestler at all. Like he's muscular, but he's fine. And then he does the like the tope with his hands in his pocket. She's like, what in the actual am I watching right now? She freaked out. She's like, what the hell is this? And by the end of it, she's like, I'm all in on this dude.
Yes.
Like she has never.
Yes.
Oh, nice. You're coughing up a lot, right? Oh,
Enjoy this, folks. This is the show you're getting this week.
Well, actually, you say that. Here, hold on, wait 1 second. You hear that? Do you hear that?
No. What the are you doing?
Complete silence.
Oh,
because
you
my son is at school.
Yeah.
My wife took the daughter, to go up a flagpole or something. I'm home alone for the first time in probably 6 months. And I'm sitting here wasting it with your ass.
Yeah, I can say, I guess it's not the first time in 6 months by any means, because I was home alone yesterday until 4 o'clock. But, same here. The kid's at daycare, the wife's at work. I do not work today.
Nice.
So, I can do whatever. I could masturbate on my living room couch if I wanted to, and no one's going to say boo.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you wanted to. Let's be real, you're going to do it anyway, because you got to crack out the
I
easy
don't know
one.
if I have the energy for that.
Oh, yeah, you're sick, right?
So, it's like when, you know how it is, man, when the kids aren't around, the wife's not around, isn't the only thing you want to do is take a fucking nap?
Yeah, no, I got you. As a matter of fact, I do work later on today, but I might end up having a quick cat nap too. But I've had a pretty good week, though. Long story short, I had a terrible week last week, which leads me to take like the majority of this week off. So today is the only day I've worked since Monday. And I won't be working for the remainder of the week and the weekend, so I can't too much. Again, last week was the absolute balls, though. So, it is what it is. How are you, sir? Other than sick?
Other than sick, we're good, man. We're good. Lots of to talk about today. Just in the last few days, it was funny because up until 2 days ago, I was afraid we weren't going to have a show this week. I'm like, wrestling's boring this week. Nothing's going on. What are we going to talk about? And then just the last few days, all this happens. We're like, all right, really, good enough. Podcaster's wet dream, sir.
It's funny how none of this happened until we got ready to friggin' record.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Okay, well, you want to start with the news of the week, or should? You should tell people who we are first.
Well, I'll tell you who I'm not, and that's. That's what sounds like a very well-rested Danny Parkhill.
I am not Michael Walsh, and I prefer the Keg Steakhouse.
I do prefer the Keg Steakhouse. I do enjoy the Keg.
Right? Now, mind you, we don't have too many options around here. Like in the States, they have, all these different, I don't want to say budget, bougie steakhouses. Like they have what's it called there? I went to one in Syracuse, and it was like the greatest meal I've ever eaten. It was like a full steak dinner, like salad bar, which had like not just salad, it had like all sorts of like garlic bread and chicken wings and all this and like everything I could possibly want to eat.
Yeah.
For like $15. And it was like, this is nonsense. Like, we need some of these up home.
The states are crazy like that. You can buy. I mean, you can buy a bottle of fucking whiskey the size of you for $13. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's crazy the combined in the States, but the quality, man, I don't know.
That's
But you're saying you don't have a lot near you. I'll tell you right now, you want a good steak dinner and be in your car for less than 2 hours. Go to Montreal, good sir.
yeah. They got a good steakhouse over there.
No shortage of steakhouses in downtown Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
Maybe I'll have to take a trip. There's a WrestleMedia road trip. We got to find a show that's going on in Montreal. There's tons of great wrestling in Montreal. So we
there's
gotta,
always good wrestling in Montreal.
Find a show to go to. We'll go to the show and we'll hit up a steakhouse before or after or whatever.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I'm down with that. Do you know why I bring up steakhouses, sir?
Oh, are we going to talk about Ribera's second week in a row?
No. Yeah, did you seriously not hear what happened?
No. What's going on?
So our good friend and new AEW World Champion Chris Jericho.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I didn't realize it had to do with a steakhouse. Okay.
Well, yeah, because he went to the steakhouse and that's where everything went wrong.
Oh, okay.
If
only he would have went to Olive Garden.
Yeah, really, eh? Or Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, you know, because you know Virgil's I heard Virgil's a busboy at the Olive Garden. He would have never let that go down.
He's got that breadstick money. He wouldn't let Chris Jericho get away with that.
No way.
No, but Chris Jericho took a limo from a Florida airport where he was returning home from All Out. Apparently, he picked up the wrong luggage. So he got his limo driver to drop him off at, I don't know, I forget the name of the state, Longhorn Steakhouse in Tallahassee, Florida. And while Chris Jericho ate his dinner, the driver went back to the airport to pick up his actual luggage, apparently, which is a bit weird, but whatever. And somewhere in the course of that, the AEW belt got lost / stolen. Somewhere in there, someone made off with the AEW championship belt, which kind of a cardinal sin to lose a world heavyweight championship belt. Probably not.
I mean, if this was a belt worth talking about, Jericho would be in a lot of shit, probably. The fact that this title literally looks like it was. You ever gone to a carnival or some like that where they've got those things where you can put a penny in and then it smushes the penny?
Yeah.
And makes it all like long and weird and flat. That's what the AEW title looks like to me. All right, it's an ugly belt, and it's only been owned by a wrestler for 5 minutes. It's got zero legacy behind it. I don't think anybody really gives a shit. Jericho's already lost it.
Well, no, I mean it's the financial worth of that belt is fair enough, though. Well, that the belt itself, probably cost several $1,000s.
Okay,
right?
well,
probably $10,000 is a good estimate.
I'd have to, I'm going to figure something out. You go on. I'm going to. I meant to do this research before the show and I forgot, so I want to look at something.
Okay, all right. So my estimate on just based on how much custom title belts make cost to make.
Yeah.
Would probably be in the $10,000 range, right? Approximately, depending on who you get, depending on material, yada yada yada, right? But the worth of that belt to a television company is going to be a bit more than that because they don't want to spend another $10,000 on making another belt for no reason, and who knows where that belt could, turn up. Right? I mean, there could have been someone who took it and then went to Vince McMahon and said, "Hey, y'all want this belt?" Like they did with Ric Flair back in the '90s. So I mean, it's worth a lot more than what it looks like on paper, right? And so they probably would have tried to figure out pretty decently who took the belt. As it turns out, Well, I mean, this whole thing is a show. So they found the belt, and there was a cop that took a picture with the belt. And they're like, yeah, we found it. We're good. We got it. It's all good. It was a f***ing replica. Someone bought a replica, and either, the cops barged in and took it, or I don't know exactly what happened. It was a replica belt. It wasn't the real championship title.
Yeah.
So I guess what happened now. So I as we record this on Thursday morning, Chris Jericho is back in possession of the actual championship title. The story that's going around, whether it's true or not, I don't know. But the story that's going around is whoever stole it booked it because they kind of thought, well, this isn't really worth it, and just kind of tossed it on the ground somewhere. And a good Samaritan, picked it up and brought it to the Popo, and there it was. Is what the story is saying. Who knows if that's actually what can happen at this point. At this point, anything is believable. But there it is. Yeah, point being, it's worth a lot more than like the prestige of it isn't necessarily the issue. It's the potential prestige of it, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the research I was just doing, it kind of blew up in my face because on the police report, it was being called grand theft. And I was thinking, okay, well, there's got to be an amount set for grand theft. And the amount set is usually between $500 and $1,000.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, $500 to Tony Khan is f***ing horse.
Oh, yeah. That belt was that. I guarantee you that belt was worth more than $500. Like, you can get a shitty Intercontinental Championship made, like, for $700, $800.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that belt is worth more than $500, I guarantee you. And it's worth, I would have to say it's probably worth more than $1,000 too. I don't know. That seems weird.
I would hope so. Tony's got the money, spend it.
Yeah, well, yeah. Or maybe they get money, buy business. I'd rather buy 80 gold chains and go ignorant. I know Spike Lee gonna kill me, but let me finish.
We will get back to talking some AEW. Got a lot of AEW notes today. But before we do that, since we're talking about things that are low budget, I want to talk about something that has absolutely nothing to do with wrestling at all.
Right.
Something that I saw yesterday that I said the only medium I have to talk about things to the world is my podcast. This needs to be talked about.
You'll have to indulge us.
Wrestling. So
yes, the listeners will have to indulge us.
Yeah. So, did you know someone has gone and made a porn parody of The Lion King?
Oh, off! Really?
And
how do you do that? Well, I mean, I know how you do it, but like, how do you do it?
What do you mean?
Like, what is it like? I'm gonna be a mighty king.
Let me get into it. So there's a trailer out for it. I'll send you the trailer later. It looks horrible. Okay, like when I say low budget, I mean low budget. Like, it's just it's terrible, but funny terrible. Here's the thing: it's a full musical. Oh yeah. And the songs, my friend, the songs. So I'm just going to name off 3 of the songs because I love it so much. You've got The Circle Jerk of Life.
Oh, God, that's brilliant.
You've got Can You Fill My Tonight? And this is my favorite, saving the best for last. Hot on my tatas. That's right, sir. Hot on my tatas.
I changed my mind. I need to see this. I'm a big fan of musicals. I like so I need to see this. This is something I need to experience.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. If only I could. Like, I need to find some sort of wrestling tie to this somehow. So we can
figure
do
it out. Like we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
Good callback. We'll get there. I don't know if you know what you've done there, but that was good.
No, I don't know what I've done there.
That used to be the tagline from Ropes to Reels. We'll get there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't listen to those.
Good for you. I know you don't.
I don't watch movies. I only watch porno featuring lion sex.
So, by the way, it's called The Loin King.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's a little... okay, for a company that just came up with what do we name Hakuna Matata?
Hot
and you call hot Matata. And for a company that did that, like the Loin King is a little,
little on the nose. Yeah,
I haven't paid for a porno in probably 20 years. So.
Yeah, so I don't know, nothing to do with wrestling, but it had to be talked about just because who else am I going to talk to about it too? I mentioned it to my wife last night and she almost laughing. So
well, there you are, sir.
Yeah,
you got the if you turn on the Loin King, you get her to not laughing.
Well,
that's
you know what
I mean?
That's it.
You know what turns women on more than hot lion sex?
The of life.
Oh, that's funny.
Hey, this is a commercial for patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca, where you can get early access to episodes of your favorite WrestleMedia shows, get full uncut and uncensored versions of your favorite shows, and more. Don't want to hear this commercial on your podcast anymore? Sign up at our main event tier and get these episodes ad-free. Want to hear your own commercial here instead of ours? We've got tiers for that too. Visit patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca and join the WrestleMedia revolution today.
All right, let's get back to wrestling. We'll come back to that though.
Before I let you, bring up the next news topic, I got to give you some.
What'd I do?
How the you, my friend, who knows more about indie wrestling than I do, my friend, who is as much of a heavy metal mark as I am.
Yeah.
How the do you, my friend, had no idea that Andy Williams of The Butcher and the Blade is also Andy Williams of Every Time I Die?
I'll be honest. I'll take the L on that one. I should have known. I don't know.
How was this news to you? You just found this out a couple days ago.
I did. Well, it's funny because I was looking through the PWI 500 because I always like to look through it. I know it's all based in kayfabe and half of it is bull, but I like to go through it, especially like the bottom, 150, like 500, that kind of thing. Because once you get past 150, it's all and TJ Perkins got a whole bunch of wins on 205 Live, but then he got fired, so he's down to 149 from 35 because we're WWE marks, But anyway,
okay,
I like to take.
I'd like. Okay, well, see what you're going to say, but I want to go back to PWI 500 for a minute. So
okay, put a pin in that. Let me finish my point, Michael.
Yep.
And Andy Williams was in the PWI 500, right? I was looking through it, seeing if there was any, Ontario workers, that kind of thing. And Andy Williams is in the PWI 500. I forget what number he is. I think he's like 415 or something like that. But either way, well deserved because he's a great worker. And the first line is, "Every time I die, guitarist turned pro wrestler, yada, yada, yada." And I'm like, wait, what? And then I looked it up and, sure enough, there it is, and I made the connection. So what I did after that, this is what sparked this conversation. You the listeners, you the freeloaders, I went to our little group chat there that WrestleMedia has, and I said, "Okay, was I the only one who didn't know this?" And everyone replied with a resounding "Yes, you are the only one who didn't know this."
Well, it's been discussed on multiple podcasts on this network, including this show.
I don't remember that though.
No, that's because you don't listen to anything that you're not a part of. I had a full conversation. I had a full thing about it on one of my solo shows.
Okay.
Which you obviously didn't listen to because you're a bad person.
I don't have time to listen to every single podcast. I don't.
Just listen to your own show.
No, I don't listen to my own show either because I hate myself.
Speaking of the PWI 500, it brings up a question. Where in this mother does Kenny Omega stand?
Are you asking me like literally, or are
because you obviously looked at it recently. So where in the PWA 500 right now is Kenny Omega hovering?
So okay,
is he in the top 50? Is he in the top 10?
Okay, so if you're looking at this year's list, if I recall correctly, he's in the top 10. Okay. I think he's like 9 or 8 or something like that.
The motherfucker who has... I understand that wins, losses don't mean a whole lot in pro wrestling, but this has only wrestled 7 times in 2019, and he's lost 4 of those matches. Yet he's that's my problem. Touted as King Kenny.
And that's kind of my problem with PWI, because Seth Rollins is number 1, and the reasoning they have behind that is all kayfabe, because it's like, okay, well, yeah, he's had a great year. He's won the Universal Championship. He's done this. He's done that. Whatever. He's had this big feud with Brock Lesnar. He's held his own. Which, great. If you're going to do it in kayfabe, do it in kayfabe. That's fine. But don't give me this half kayfabe, half, well, we like Kenny Omega and he's a great wrestler, so he deserves to be in the top 10. Like, don't give me bull.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I hear
if you're gonna make it in kayfabe, absolutely make it in kayfabe. And then you can have a conversation like, whatever. Say Cody Rhodes is number 3 because he's had such a great year in victory, just picking a name out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then you can have that discussion where it's like, okay, so Cody Rhodes is number 3. How would he do if he was doing the same thing in WWE? And that opens conversation. Would Seth Rollins do so well if he was in AEW? If you're talking about kayfabe, right?
Right.
That's a conversation you can have. If you're not going to do kayfabe, okay, then it becomes a lot more subjective, right? Which is still, in my opinion, a bit because everybody has their personal favorites or personal, like that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But you can't. I don't think you can have it both ways. Because again, if you look at it in kayfabe, you're absolutely right. Kenny Omega's wrestled like under 10 matches, and he's lost the majority of them. So why is he in the top 10? Right? I think I don't know. It's PWI's weird.
Bushwhacker Luke has more wins in 2019 than Kenny Omega does. So
there you are. Bushwhacker Luke shooting right up in the top.
Where the is Luke on the PWI? That's what I want to know. I'm going to start a hashtag Justice for Luke.
Hashtag Justice for Luke. I like it.
Speaking of Kenny Omega, the match is back on, sir.
Yes, Omega versus Moxley. They're going to do that at their next pay-per-view, Full Gear, that's another thing we got to talk about. How do you like the name Full Gear for a pay-per-view?
I like it.
Really?
I like it because I think it basically sums up where AEW is heading. It's like, okay, we've gotten over our hump. We're now that we've gotten these shows and we behind us, like the All Outs and All In and Balls Out and Balls In. It's all behind us now. And then our TV show's coming up in a few months. So now we're going into Full Gear. We're we're a real company now. So I think it makes sense, and I'm glad they're finally getting off the casino theme.
So when you look at it that way, I agree with you because I didn't look at it from that perspective. The way I looked at it was the inside rib that they have with the BTE audience, the Being the Elite YouTube blog gimmick. They have a thing where. And are you Full Gear ready?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So there's this big joke where it's are you Full Gear ready? Right. I'm talking specifically about Hangman Page, where they're talking about you're getting chubby. You can't. This was back when they were going to do him versus Pac, which didn't end up happening. But it was okay. Well, Pac looks like $1 million, and you're looking a little chubby. You need to get Full Gear ready. So, that was the big thing. Everyone was like, are you ready for Full Gear? It was a big, stupid jerk off. It was the circle jerk of life. So, but yeah, that's what I thought they were going for. It's like the insider, like, you get it, guys? Because we're all in the same thing there. You watched the YouTube show, right, where they said the full
it very
year.
well could just be. You could be right. It very well just could be like, oh, we're going to make a rib, and this is an inside joke for our little fan base. But for an outsider, somebody not getting that joke, that's where I saw that name. I saw it as, okay, yeah, this company's now jumping into full gear. This is we're going balls out, no pun intended, to we're going to go 100 miles an hour at this show to show that we deserve our spot. That's how I took it, anyways.
And I'm going to go with your explanation because that's the one that makes me less angry. So I'll go with that. Speaking of AEW, sir, did you catch All Out, Balls Out?
Not all of it. I did not have the time nor $54.99 to sit down and watch the whole show.
Okay. So what did you watch? Just like bits and pieces?
I've seen bits and pieces. I've seen bits and pieces. I watched a lot of stuff. The stuff I saw, I don't know, man. They better f***ing take whatever Tony. I don't know what kind of money Tony Khan's putting down, but maybe fire a couple f***ing lower card wrestlers and take that money and put it into some production.
You see, I didn't have a huge problem with production.
Impressed with the production so far.
Really?
Yeah, and apparently I'm not the only one. I read a couple reviews. Even Jim Ross himself was not impressed with the production of the show. So I'm glad I'm not alone on that. But other than that, the card itself, we can go through that quick if you'd like.
Yeah, okay.
Again, this is not going to be a surprise to you or anyone else. I'm not 100% impressed with the booking of this show, but we'll get into that.
Okay.
So
okay.
Well, why don't you tell me about some of your highlights? What did you like or not like about this show?
Okay, so we'll go through highlights and then we'll go through the actual thing. Highlights and lowlights. Let's see. I'll be honest with you and say that as a show overall, I wasn't particularly impressed.
And I think that's the general consensus among wrestling fans right now. No one's shitting on it, but no one's going, oh, what a great show.
Precisely. It was a good show.
Right after All In, I remember a year ago, right after All In, the first show in Chicago, people didn't shut the up about that show for 2 weeks.
Yeah. That was a great show.
The only thing people are talking about now, 3 days after All Out, is a little bit of the bubbly.
Yeah.
That's the only great thing people are taking away from that.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a bit of a problem. That's something that they're going to have to work on. I'm giving them a bit of a pass for the next little bit. If WWE put out that show, I'd all over it. And I mean, whatever, call me a hypocrite if you must. I'd all over it was a WWE show.
Well, because WWE
they know
standards
better.
Should be higher.
Exactly. They know better.
They're
right?
not.
These
they're
guys
not
are
building
still
a brand here. AEW is still building a brand.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I'm still like, okay, again, it wasn't a bad show. I want to be clear on that. Like there wasn't anything that
there was just a lot.
Well, I mean, I have a couple
choices made.
I have a couple. I have a couple gripes that I'm gonna get into, but there wasn't anything. I can't look at a match on the card and say that was a terrible match. There were some that were okay, maybe. Don't do that next time. But like, for example, the first match of the night, the women's battle royal.
Okay, so I didn't get to see the whole match. What's your gripe with it? Don't tell me it's putting Nyla over, because I think Nyla over was a good move.
I don't have a problem with that, and I do want to get on that too. We'll get on that in a second.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about.
It was just a bit sloppy. It seemed kind of all over the place. It seemed sort of like, it was very clear from there was nothing memorable that put anybody else other than Nyla Rose over.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone kind of went in there, did their 2-3 spots, and then, kind of off or got eliminated or whatever. Went to the corner until they had to get eliminated.
Was it Battle Royal rules or Royal Rumble rules?
It was like the Casino Battle Royal rules.
Okay.
So it was like, every, whatever it was, 3 or 5 minutes, whatever it was, there would be another 4 or 5 people that came out.
Right.
4 or 5 women. And then, at the end, there was one last person, which ended up being Mercedes Martinez.
Okay.
Which, great. There was a lot of talent in that ring. All right, I'm going to get on this topic now because it's as good as time as any to bring it up. So I guess after all was said and done, backstage, Sadie Gibbs took a swing at Bea Priestley.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what's funny, dude? I went back and forth whether or not to put that on my list of to talk about, and I'm like, nobody fucking cares.
Okay, well, and maybe you're right, but I am going to bring it up, and here's why. All right. So, looking at both of these women, right?
Yeah.
Bea Priestley, from what I've seen of her, decent worker, gets herself over, fine, fair enough. She has come out under a lot of criticism, and I think it might be fair enough that she's in the position that she's in because of who she is with. People are going to get mad about that. I don't give a f***. She's with Will Ospreay. Apparently, she has a major attitude problem. Again, I don't know her personally. I'm just hearing from people that I do know that know her and have worked with her or whatever. Apparently she has a bit of an attitude problem and, is very much like, well, you can't touch me because Will Ospreay's my boyfriend, whatever. I don't know that. That's just what I've heard. I've heard that Bea Priestley is not a very nice person. There it is. That being said, Sadie Gibbs, I've seen probably 3 or 4 of her matches by now, and I can say, from what I've seen of her, she is the absolute drizzling shits. She is god fucking awful. And I hate to say it, and I don't usually say that. I say that because apparently there was a big deal about her getting trained, and I guess she did go to Will Ospreay for training, which is sort of what started this whole bullshit between her and Bea Priestley, and I don't know, there's a big thing, and she left before she was ready, and it's clear that she's not ready. In that match, in the Battle Royal, and I want to find a clip to show you, Mike, because it's really bad. She takes the absolute worst bump off of a choke slam I've ever seen in my entire life. It's a double choke slam, so it's I think it was either Nyla Rose or I think it was Nyla Rose gave her and Britt Baker like a double choke slam, right? Now, taking a choke slam bump is very easy. You f***ing jump, and then you take a back bump.
Yeah.
If you are able to jump up in the air, and you are able to take a back bump, you can take a choke slam. Congratulations. It's an easy f***ing bump to take. I don't know what happened here. Sadie Gibbs sort of like half jumped and then realized she wasn't supposed to jump, so like she half jumped again and like got like maybe a foot off the ground, maybe because Nyla Rose pulled her up and saying, hey, you sandbagging son of a get the up there.
Yeah.
She put her feet up at like the very last second by like 3 inches and landed directly on her ass. And it's like, how did you screw that up? And it's like, okay, at this point I'm like, all right, well, whatever, move on, I guess. So the spot in question that I guess why they were all hot at each other or whatever is the Sadie Gibbs' elimination spot, right? Bea Priestley eliminated Sadie Gibbs.
Okay.
From watching it, what I'm guessing was supposed to happen was Sadie Gibbs was supposed to get Bea Priestley up in like a gorilla press, right? Like a front press kind of thing. Bea Priestley was supposed to slip out of it or land on her feet or whatever, and then go into the spot where she's actually eliminated, right? What actually happened was Bea Priestley came over, gave Sadie Gibbs 2 or 3 forearm shots, which Gibbs no-sold the out of, I might add. She's like screaming at her like, like, just sell the forearm. So then Bea Priestley, whatever, they go into the spot where there's the gorilla press. Sadie Gibbs doesn't get her up at all. Her hand positioning is all wrong. Now, I've never done a gorilla press in my life because I'm like 210 pounds and I have 0 muscle. So I've never actually done it. But the idea is you got to put one hand on the chest, and then one hand like near their crotch, right, sort of where the pubes are, right, because that way you get the most balance. No, I'm being serious, because that way you get the most balance. You know, I've been in a gorilla press before, and that's how it was done. I had one where a guy goosed my balls and it hurt like a motherfucker, but whatever. At least he didn't put it on my knee where you're not supposed to put your hand, which is exactly what Sadie Gibbs did. So it was the shittiest press slam of all time. Bea Priestley wasn't up high enough and wasn't prepared to land on her feet or whatever, wiggle out or whatever. So Sadie Gibbs just tossed her onto her side, right? And then Bea Priestley immediately gets up, no-sells that, and goes into the elimination spot. So now the big criticism was, oh, well, Bea Priestley no-sold that press slam. And it's like, well, first of all, it was the shittiest press slam ever, so I wouldn't sell it either. And, you know, like, Sadie Gibbs was no-selling her. So, I mean, I don't want to be on Bea Priestley's side here, but I'm on Bea Priestley's side, because learn to work. There, that's what I have to say about it. That could have been summed up in one sentence. Learn to work.
All right.
Sorry, carry on. It pisses me off, though, because it's like, oh, Sadie Gibbs, she, you know, poor her, because Bea Priestley's It's like, maybe she is, but like, you know.
So long story short, the Battle Royal wasn't the greatest.
Yes. Okay, before we talk about the rest of the matches, let's say goodbye to the freeloaders, because I don't want to edit myself anymore after 35 minutes.
All right, hugs and kisses, go away.
Bye, freeloaders. Love you. Bye.
Yeah.
This has been a presentation of WrestleMedia, where everything is wrestling and wrestling is everything. Here's what you're missing out on right now over at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca.
You know, it was.
Okay, well, here's
like, it was in terms of spots, it was fine, but that's all. It was a spot fest. It had nothing else behind it, and even the spots were because it's like, okay, why are we gazing longingly into each other's eyes? This is
Want more? Sign up now at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca.